My name is Walter Wanyanya. I am a creative entrepreneur. I'm an artist manager. I do events, production. Yeah, you know, I'm very much into entertainment.
My name is Prayer Soul. I'm a musician slash entrepreneur, and Tari is a very good friend of mine. We go way back. I think we've known each other maybe for over 15 years now. Okay, maybe not 15, but over 10 years for sure. She's a phenomenal woman. She's a phenomenal person. Great musician. She really knows how to connect with people, and she's a very organic person. So she doesn't try to do things too fast or try to. She loves to really, you know, make a meaningful connection with people, even if it's audiences or it's in conversation, whatever it is. That's the kind of person she is. I met Tari probably around 2008, I think, 2008 or 2007. And when I met her, she was playing the guitar, but she was actually in the corporate world, and she was just doing her thing there.
So the song that I'm going to sing is called Mazuva Hafanane, which is really saying, look, no 2 days are the same. Where you are today is not necessarily where you're going to be tomorrow. So live in that hope that things are going to change, and they're going to change for the better. So this one is called Mazuva Hafanane. Mazuva Hafanane, karakara rikare, zvinu zvashanduka wani, zvamunona kudai, mandara ya mamai. Zvinu zvashanduka chisingaperi chinoshu, dakuseri watobu, damjeri zvinotoshamisa. Musazofunga pamaka, tisiya isheva, tirwira isu tayambutswa. Mazuva afanane, afanane, mazuva afanane, afanane. Chinyarara kakuchema, shungurudzwa nenema, pfungwa dzavhurika idzi, waneta nekutambura, chingoti zvinodhura. Zvinhu zvashandukamo, musakanganwa pataka, ranganwa istika, oneswa, he said this too shall pass. Chishingirira uchi, tarisira, I can guarantee this pain will not last. Mazuva afanane, afanane, mazuva afanane, afanane. My name is Tariro GItare. I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter, and guitarist. I started playing the guitar when I was 13. I went to St. John's in Emerald Hill, and at our school, well, I was in Form 1 at that time, and Sister Elizabeth Vedeking, who was the music teacher, said, look, I'm looking for some people to join the guitar choir, which was not the coolest thing at that time, but because we had a guitar at home, and my older brother used to play, so I thought, why not, let me join. So I started playing the guitar then, and I think in about 6 months I was already playing in the school guitar choir. Like I said, it was not the coolest thing. Fast forward a couple of years later, a friend of mine, soon after high school, invited me to a sisters open mic, but I was already working in hospitality then. And so I went to the sisters open mic, and it so happened to be the first anniversary of the sisters open mic, or the women that used to perform at the sisters open mic. So you had your Dudu Manhengas, your Edith, Utonga, Busi, Ncube. There were all these powerhouses who were there that day, who I was clueless who these people were. And then, so I get in, and my friend Chapman, she's the one who registered me. And so I went up, and Dudu Manhenga was the MC, and I was like, hi, so I'm playing the guitar. She's like, great, let me link you up with, there's a lady who plays bass, so maybe I can link you guys up. So she links me up with Edith. So I go up to Edith, and I say, hi, Edith, I'm Tariro. Dudu said, you know, I can come and speak to you. She's like, great, I'm going to call you up on stage. And I'm thinking, no, wait, like, I'm not that good. You know, I could just strum a few chords. No, don't worry, it'll be basic. So Edith goes up on stage, she introduces, hi, so I'm going to call some people up. She calls me up on stage and she starts jamming, and I just had to start playing with her. And then all these other women came up on stage. There was Rumbita Puma, her sister Fatima Katiji, who's now singing with Ja Praiser. And we started jamming, and it was really nice. And then after the gig, Edith's like, see you on Friday, because we've got another gig at Wimpy. And that's how I started playing for Edith Utonga. So fast forward, you know, that was going well. And then I started, because I was in hospitality as well, I started an event called the Acoustic Night, which was really for solo artists, because I'm a mom and I didn't want to hang out late, so we had to create a space where artists can just come and jam, and it's in a safe environment. And so I would go to that show with me and my guitar, and people would be like, guitar, and voila, that's where the name sort of came up, and that's how the brand Tariro GItare came to fruition.
I think if somebody's a good artist, they're a good artist. So with Tari, for instance, I don't look at her and say, oh, she's a female artist, or Amara is a female artist, or Tammy Moyo is a female artist. They're just artists. And also with upcoming artists, I don't say, oh, this is upcoming. When are they going to graduate and become a full-blown artist? An artist is an artist. They just maybe not as popular as the other one that you're comparing with. And then there's no young artists. They're just artists. You know, maybe their age is 10 or 15 or 20. But at the end of the day, when you come to creativity and you come to art, I believe we just have artists. And they just happen to be young. And they just happen to be female. And they just happen to be not so popular. So at the end of the day, we have a lot of very good artists in Zimbabwe. Is a lot of our artists that are female are really good artists. They will go toe-to-toe with any act that you may think is superior because of their gender. And a lot of the artists that we've worked with as Ngomano Osho, female artists, we never really said, oh, we're only gonna book them because we're trying to fill a quota to make sure that we've got gender balance. No, we actually book them because they're good artists. And we know when we give them a slot, when we give them a stage, they're gonna kill it.
Music was not something that I planned on doing. I had other plans. Soon after high school, I started my diploma in human resources. Then I did my degree in sociology and gender studies, and I did my master's in development with the hope of working in those fields. But lo and behold, the music sort of take over. So my first job was actually a company called Beanbag Trading, where I was a PA to a lady who did corporate gifts and corporate branding. Then I left there and I went to Crown Plaza, Monomtapa. At that time, it was still called Crown Plaza. I got in as a call center operator. Me and my friends got in as call center operators. Then I was promoted to front office. And then from front office, I was promoted to guest relations. And then while I was in guest relations, I was 21 years old, I think. And then I fell pregnant. So I couldn't be in the front anymore. And I had to be moved to functions, which I thought, why was I moved to functions? Little did I know that God's plan was sort of working. So because I was in functions, in administration, I couldn't move around. So I'd sit behind my desk all day. But that meant that I'd do all the admin. I'd see how the office functions. And I started to gain an interest in events. So at 6.5 months, my water broke and I gave birth to my daughter at 6.5 months, which was a traumatic experience already. She was a severe preterm, and thank God she's now 14.
Tariro is young. I had an interview with her a few days ago, and when I was singing, she was backing everything so well that I didn't understand why I never had a song with Tariro. Yeah, the world of being a female musician is very tough. It's a male-dominated industry, and when women make a mark in it, it is noticed, because not many people expect women to make a mark in music. With the way at times people perceive music and musicians, So she's one person who made a mark, not only by singing, but by playing an instrument, which is a plus, because I believe the strength of a musician and consistency in terms of what they produce and write comes from being able to execute their work on an instrument, which then influences everyone around to follow.
So I went back to work, and with this new purpose, okay, I've got a child I need to look after, I've just got married, I'm still studying in school, but there's this new passion for events that I'm getting. So I started to really master the events. And then I thought to myself, I looked at the reconciliation sheet, the income that was coming into the company, the amount of work that I'd put in, and then I looked at my salary and I thought, this is not adding up. So I started doing events on my own. I started planning people's weddings. I started doing small functions, little conferences here and there. And that's how I came in touch with people like Anasia Mataure, who would then, because I'd need artists for those events. And one big event that I actually did was the Wedding Expo with Babrian Linnell in the Harare Gardens. And I remember Babrian said to me, look, I'm going to give you the stage. Do whatever it is that you want to do on the stage. You are in charge of the entertainment. Woo, I went to town. I got so many artists to perform. It was like amazing. I got the sound free of charge. I got everything literally free of charge because I had to prove myself. And it was this amazing event that we threw. And then I thought to myself, I might have a future in this side of things. And because I was now enjoying playing the instruments and jamming with Edith, it was like exciting. I'd found my purpose. I'd found my calling, and I was enjoying this. But on the marriage front, things were not going very well. You can imagine the time that I'd spent doing all this work with a little baby at hand. And at that time, that was also 2008, where Zimbabwe was not in the best place financially as well. So I decided to quit my job and started to do music full-time, because it seemed I was earning more money there than I was while employed.
But basically, she's a very good artist, very humble, very easy to work with. And she's very talented, and she's somebody who can play an instrument. And she started playing, I think, when she was still in school.
It came a time when my husband was like, you know what, it's not working. What do we do? And then at the same time, there was a tour that was about to happen. My first ever international tour came up, where it was 22 shows in Germany. And I had to sit down, and my daughter came to me and says, you know what, Mom, these days you're not happy. And that was my signal to say, you know what, this girl can see things. And so I decided to pack my bags, and I left my matrimonial home. And as soon as I left, the call for the tour was confirmed. So I just moved back to my mom's place and started and went on this tour, completely oblivious of what was to come. But that is probably the best move that I've ever done, the best decision I've ever made, because I went from nothing to an international tour with one of the best, one of the most amazing bands in Germany called Jamaram. And they showed me what an industry should look like, because we had a tour bus, we had agents, we had a tour manager, we had amazing accommodation in every city. We had sound, we had lighting, it was just top-notch stuff.
She started finding herself and being more creative. We started an event together called the Acoustic Night, and that did very well. And we managed to go on tour. We went on tour to Germany, and I think we did about 20, almost 24 shows in 1 month, which was such a phenomenal experience at the beginning of our careers. And that sort of then spiraled the creativity to start so many things. So between then and now, we've started so many things, so many events and things like that. So it's been a beautiful, beautiful journey. And yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a TNG fan, because I love her music. I love the way she writes, and I love the way she performs, and the way she always presents her music.
Ever since then, I've been working towards that, towards owning the value chain, towards exposing artists to that sort of a lifestyle. and hoping we can all get there together. And that's why I do what I do. So you find that even in all my businesses, for instance, first I run TNG Music, which is basically an events company, creating events that bring value to the artist, which means the artist is paid well. The artist is exposed to a lifestyle that a proper artist should be exposed to, linking them up to different corporate environments, linking them up to different opportunities, to different funding opportunities that allow them to move their gift forward, and bringing people together, networking. That's a big thing for me as well. And then I also run my GItare Africa Trust, which is a tool, an organization that really fosters development of the artist and using their gift to run a business. And not only a business that will serve them, but a business that will serve them and their community. So creating initiatives that better the community, more development and philanthropic work. That's the sort of angle that we're taking with my GItare Trust. And all this is stemming from the experiences that I've been in the corporate world. Like I told you, I was in branding, I was in hospitality, and I'm trying to harness all these experiences and use them for my gift, as well as for those people who are similarly gifted, our artists.
Yeah, Tariro GItare's music is very Zimbabwean. It's most of the songs are Mbira based. That's one thing I noticed, and but played differently from other artists in the sense that she's an acoustic guitarist, so she plays it differently. And one thing I admire about her is the ability to play guitar, or ability to play an instrument. Because playing an instrument increases your musical intelligence. So it even helps when one wants to compose or arrange music. So that's one huge advantage that she has. But basically her music, I've noticed that it's very Zimbabwean, very Mbira based, with a bit of influence from other genres like soul music, a bit of R&B, but it's basically very Zimbabwean. I've worked with her on, besides her latest album, because right now we are working on a latest project where I produced about 8 songs, and then she did a few songs with other producers. Previously, I also worked with her on a recording that she did about 2 years ago. I think it was a single.
My first album is a self-titled album called Tariro GItare, and that I only had to do because I had a tour coming up. So before the Germany tour, we were under pressure. Look, you're touring, yes, but you cannot tour without an album. What are you going to sell? So I ran into studio. Thank God for DS David Sengwayo. He allowed me to record with very favorable terms. So I recorded my first album and went on tour and sold a lot of copies. The second album is I released in 2015, which is called Chipo Changu, which was me saying, okay, this is the gifting I've been given, and this is where God wants me to go. But like I said, remember, I was coming from a place of, I've just left my matrimonial home. I have not dealt with those issues in my matrimonial home. And voila, I'm on tour, I'm on the road. And after that, things just went up. I'm performing at every corporate event. I come back, I'm at Haifa. I was all over the place. So I did not have time to deal with myself and to deal with me and the things I needed to deal with personally, which led to a meltdown in 2015. So as soon as I released my Chipo Changu album, I felt, something is wrong.
The first time I watched Tari perform was one of her concerts that she did at ZGS. It was a solo performance, so she was performing by herself. So for me, a lot of artists, who can perform solo, for me, I hold them in high regard, because a lot of artists really hide behind the stage and having lots of people with them. So she was performing by herself, and she did an amazing performance. 30 or so minutes, singing and playing guitar, and it's something that I personally enjoyed. And from there, we then got together and worked together. We went to South Africa. On some projects and things like that. So we did some amazing work together. We did a John Legend concert in South Africa, in Sandton. So for me, it was a situation where I was also getting into promoting artists, and I believed that our artists needed to be exposed to an international stage, not just performing, but being able to watch others perform. So we took Tariro Tari and Prayer Soul to go and watch a John Legend concert in South Africa, along with a few listeners that we picked, you know, from working with the Star FM. And yeah, that's actually the beginning of, you know, of the work that I've done or still continue to do with Tariro and GItare today.
This can't be me, where I'd sing a song and someone would start crying and say, Sha, you know what, you spoke to this situation in my life. And I'm thinking, I'll tell you a song called Daneta. It was really just me tired of I was waiting for a taxi. I was in Ghana. I had a show in Ghana. And I was waiting for a taxi to come. And I started to sing, Daneta, Daneta, Daneta. Lo and behold, when I then wrote the song, so much was happening in the country and everyone was tired. And I remember the first time the song was quoted on Twitter, it was very politicized. And I said, no, that wasn't the intention. I was just tired. But that's the beauty of music, and why artists will gravitate towards the divine is because you realize it's not about you anymore. There has to be a bigger force at play. There has to be something else that this music is doing that I'm not even aware of. And that's why you really now start to seek something greater than yourself. And some of us in that seeking get lost. We get lost and caught up in the wrong things because we're looking for something that's bigger than ourselves, and you've got no one to mentor you, you've got no one to guide you, you've got no one to lead the way, and there's so many voices around you and you just cannot zone in and zero in on the right one, or you don't even know which one the right one is. So yeah, which is why that's my purpose and my calling, to lead creatives into their purpose.
Yeah, I've attended a number of live shows. The last one that I attended, she was performing at a place in Borodale called, I've forgotten the place, but she was performing with a full band, and her performances are very interesting. She's got a very good stage presence, and she's a very good communicator, communicating with the crowd. So it shows a very, you get a very good experience when you attend the gigs.
The people who are influential are not being real. And so the people who are following us have nothing to look up to. You know, they've no truth. They'll see this picture and think, Eish, I'll never get there. And yet if they see the real girl next door image that Tariro is, then they'll say, you know what, she came from there, so I can do exceedingly and abundantly above what she's done, because of, you know, the power that is within us.
Tari performing at the Bryan Adams concert was like a big step. I think it was a big step more than just for her in her career, but also for just Zimbabwean women being noticed and being acknowledged in that space and on that level. So for me, I was really ecstatic about her getting that opportunity, and also knowing and trusting that, you know, she was going to do a good job, and, you know, she absolutely, you know, always performs phenomenally.
Chipo Changu is the second album, and Chipo Changu is talking about that. And I remember the first song, actually, Chipo Changu, is really saying, look, don't hate me for what I was given. I didn't choose this gift.
Tari, working with Tari has always been a pleasure. She's one of the very few people that I believe has got you know, more than one talent, that doesn't limit her to just her being able to play and perform and sing as an artist. Working with her it's revealed to me that she's more than that.
Ta-da! The current album. And I'm seeing that, yes, the best is yet to come, because now I've just surrendered that gift and saying, Lord, use it for your glory. And yeah, the songs in that album are exciting, and I'm looking forward to sharing that album with you.
She's very big into raising other artists, discovering other artists, promoting other artists, and it's very rare to find artists that, you know, that get into that aspect of things. Usually most artists would work on themselves, you know, push their own career and their own music, but then to find somebody who also then steps back and gets off the stage and pushes other artists is very rare. And she's somebody that I really think is a critical cog in the entertainment circles of Zimbabwe, because we need more people like her who are not only looking out for themselves, but they're looking out for other artists as well.
Edith, who I'm so grateful for, because she took me in a time when I was most vulnerable, and I was clueless. Edith allowed me to, she recognized my administrative strength, and she nurtured me in that area. She pushed me. She allowed me to do whatever I pleased with the band. She would say, no, go run with this. Do the marketing, do the events. She would just guide me and say, no, this is how it's done, but run with it. She gave me the playground to run around and experiment with the band. And also she opened the doors for me in the industry because I was under her wing. But she gave me a nice picture because she's married to Elton, and I saw how they relate. I saw how they work with their children. I saw how they've managed to cooperate their schedules, and it works. You know, people say no, but as we go to industry and have a family, it doesn't work. But I saw that as a picture, and it works. And then I also worked a lot with Dudu Manhenga. She would just pull me over and say, I think let's work on this. Let's do this. Let's talk about this. And she'd invite me over Kumbakwake, and we'd just talk. And also seeing her in a setup that is homely with her family, and it works. Sis Prudence, same thing, family setup, it works. I also worked with Diana Samkange as well, who showed me a different angle as well. She showed me a lot of, like I attended a lot of galas because of Diana Samkange. I saw a lot of things that I knew, okay, I need to work on this. I need to do this more often. There have also been a lot of men who've assisted me in this journey. Your Victor Kunongas, your Alexios, your Oliver Mtukudzi, the late. So many other great guys. Philbert Maro, I remember once on stage, as soon as I get off, he's like, you need to work on these chords. Please come for a few lessons. And I did. And it's like people that really support. Yeah, the guys have been really helpful.
The music starts from her instrument, and obviously resonates with every other musician who is going to participate in that particular project. So well done, Tariro, for all the work you've done, and also paving the way for, besides of course the likes of Stella Chueshe, Chuoniso, and so on. I read them. That's what we like. I like that kind of approach because, artists who guess what you are about, what you are wanting to do. No one thinks for you. Your instrument speaks to everybody, and then everybody who is going to be part of what you are doing then complements your instrument. So that's what Tariro has done on guitar.
To be seen. I mean, Chipo Changu is an album that I recorded with Steve Dyer, and that was because of a conversation we had with Sema Taure one morning, and he's like, look, why don't you try an international producer just to have a different sound? And I said, there's no way I can afford that. And he said, no, you can beg, borrow, and steal. We'll make the connection, you go and record and see what comes out of it, and voila, it's done. But this is people who believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself, and these were people that God placed in my life, and here we are. I think it was 2013 or 2014. Simpiwe Dana in South Africa put up a poster of a show, an Afro Soul concert or something. And I thought, wait, I'm Afro Soul, so I sent her a DM. I said, hi Simpiwe, I'm a Zimbabwean artist. I would love to feature at your show. And then she's like, can you make it to Joburg? And I said, yes, I'll come to Joburg next week. Please note, I had no money, I had no plan to be in Joburg, but I just believed, look, I should be in that show. And she sends the message to her promoter. The promoter gives me a ring. How soon can you make it to Joburg? And I said, how soon do you want me there? And they're like, can you be here by Friday? And I said, it's done. I looked for money. I borrowed some money. I got onto a bus, found my way in Joburg, stayed with a friend, and I get there in time for sound check. So we have a chat with Simpiwe. Hi, I'm Tariro. She's like, oh, wow, hi, thank you for coming. She introduces me on stage. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I've got my best friend, an amazing friend from Zimbabwe, Tariro GItare. And I performed at her show. So it's really what you want and how, look, the sky is the limit. Steve Dyer is an amazing person, very down to earth, humble. And I met him through an event that I did for the late Dr. Oliver Mtukudzi, one of his tribute concerts. So I had to pick up Steve Dyer and Hugh Masekela from the airport. And I remember the first thing they said was, wow, I had short natural hair then. And you know who used the late Hugh Masekela's obsession with natural hair. the first thing he says, "Oh, your hair is so lovely." And, you know, we get chatting. And Steve was cool, calm, collected, no pressure, you know. And then, when I then worked with him, it was no surprise that he's such a father figure, you know. I had to go and stay at his place for the time I was recording the album, you know, spend time with his daughter, with his family. It was a beautiful experience, you know, very soft spoken. He'll tell you something painful in the nicest of ways. He understands artists completely. He knows how to talk to artists. And he's got that touch that you need. He's got the right touch. And for me, when I did that, I was looking for an old soul who would, because music for me, a key part of my music was I grew up listening to a lot of these people. And I remember watching Ezomgido and that Taviso, and, you know, the little boy is working on, you know, Aripa Bazi, and he's trying to find his way and is lost. And I'm thinking, this is the sound I'm looking for. You know, this is what I'm looking for. And I remember thinking they were saying Tariro at that time. And so those memories for me are fresh. And so working with Steve was like that reinforcement that, you know what, this is the confirmation of where I'm going. It's not just music for today. It's legendary music that years from now people are going to listen to, and my children are going to listen to it. My children's children are still going to listen to it and be inspired. So I do realize that this purpose is not about me. It's about the legacy that I'm going to leave. And yeah, that's why it's important for me to work with people like Steve Dyer. I found the late Dr. Oliver Mtukudzi as a very quiet person. Not quiet, reserved. I think what I loved about the journeys that we took and being around him was actually the conversations we'd have, or people would have around him. He'd probably watch you guys talk and then throw in a nugget at the end, and you're like, oh, you know. The first time I met Dr. Oliver Mtukudzi was after a show I did with Edith Utonga. And we were in the Harare Gardens, and he came to the backstage just as we were finishing. So he got to watch a little bit of our set, and he saw us as we went out of the venue. So as we're going out, he comes and he's like, "Wow, you know, Tariro, well done. You know, you did a great job on stage." And then he pulls me aside and he says, "But next time, tuna guitare rako, tune your guitar." And if you're a guitarist, that's probably the most embarrassing day of your life, because you know that you're supposed to tune your guitar before anything. And then he even said, even if it means you stop the rest of the show to tune your guitar, you'd rather do that. But that spoke volumes for me. That little piece of advice spoke volumes for me, because it's something that you're supposed to do. And he was just saying, just do the normal stuff. Do what you're supposed to be doing. And that is a message I tell to everyone. Because look, you might think that your fame or your money or your influence is going to come from something extraordinary. But do the basics. Chuna guitare rako. Do the basics, and when you do the basics, the rest will follow. And then, ever since then, it's been a series of those events where we bump into each other and you get nuggets. And our last performance together was actually at Haifa, which was the biggest concert I've ever performed at, to be honest, where he called me on stage as his daughter. And I was like, I remember he says, "I'm going to invite my daughter, Tariro on guitar." And I remember looking around at the backstage thinking, is that me? Like, did he just call me his daughter? But it also highlighted the kind of relationship that we had. That he would call me he'd call me every time on the phone, "Daughter ne guitare." Iwe daughter ne guitar urukupi. I remember that day he said, "Daughter ne guitar urukupi." We are past stage go Haifa. I had no clue what I'm going to be performing. I get there and it's like, right, uda kuimba song ipinas. And I said, okay, pindirai mambo. Right, come back here. Na 6 tukuimba pindirai mambo. Feke yimbe zaganaka. Baba daughter ne guitar. And I was just like, wow, you know. That was it wasn't, you know, it was not a defined relationship, but he'd throw in the right nuggets when you needed them. And another thing that he said, just before our tour to Germany, and then he said we were introduced as upcoming artists. Then he quickly corrects the MCs, like, no, there's no such thing as an upcoming artist. You're upcoming to where or from where? The only difference between me and these artists is that they are not known yet. So it's just a matter of the world getting to know them. but we're actually doing the exact same thing. And that, you know, just those little things that we talk about. And the funniest for me was when I asked him, okay, so how is your career going? And he says, what career? I'm still trying to find my career. I'm just, this hobby of mine of playing music is fun, but I'm still trying to find my career, which highlighted how he viewed his gifting. It was not a job. For him, it was a calling. It was something that came naturally, and he's still trying to find that thing that will make him money, apparently. And yeah, it was interesting to hear the way he's very witty. He was very witty, very intelligent, very grounded, and very discerning, and very humble. Where paparike, you are down to earth and you're yourself. He'd have his Coke and buns in a hotel, in a 5-star hotel. He was true to who he was. And those are things that I learned from him and from his team. You know, I worked a lot with, because you travel with him, you're hearing the stories from people around him. Yes, you'd hear the bad stuff, but you'd also hear the good stuff. And above all, it was more good than bad. Everyone who moved with him learned 1 or 2 things, and those things changed their lives. Thank you so much. I'd like to encourage you to continue to support musicians. And yeah, make sure you buy the music. Follow me, Tariro GItare, on Facebook, Instagram, and my website is tarironeguitare.co.zw. God bless. Yeah.